Welcome to our Soiva Music Camp info webinar, where we're going to talk more specifically about this coming summer's Soiva camp. And I won't say anything about the details because I will leave that to our camp coordinator, Maria Männistö, who's in Seattle and joined by Kata and Artur out of Helsinki. So I will leave it to you. And we look forward to hearing all about Soiva this year. And anybody out there who has questions can always put them in the Q&A. And then when you guys are done, we can have a sort of a group discussion as that arises. So I will go off camera now and pass it to you, Maria. Kiitos.
Thank you so much. Kiitos, Tommy. So we are so very excited about this year's Soiva camp, and we wanted to take the opportunity today to introduce ourselves, introduce the camp, some of the concepts, and hopefully be able to answer any questions that you might have about this year's Soiva camp. I'll briefly introduce myself and then have our two lovely instructors also introduce themselves. I am Maria Männistö. I am in the Seattle area, as Tommy mentioned. I'm a professional singer and music director living in Seattle, and I'm co-director of the Finnish expatriate choir, Ulkosuomalaisten Suurkuoro, which recently won the Suomi-Seura's Finnish Expatriate of the Year award. I also have a music studio here in Seattle, and I teach voice lessons and piano lessons to all ages. And I particularly really love working with high school age students. I feel like that's a very potent age as far as growth and development, both musically, but then also, coming into our own selves and our own identities. And so I'm really excited to be a part of this Soiva camp. And I'd love to introduce our instructors. Maybe we'll start with Kata, if you want to just say a few words about yourself.
Thank you, Maria. Hi, everybody. My name is Kata Vuoristo. I'm a Finnish singer and songwriter from Helsinki, and I'm currently studying at the Sibelius Academy of the Uni Arts here in Helsinki, and right now actually trying to graduate as a global music master. I'm also a vocal coach from my previous profession, and I've been doing the studying, also teaching through the studies, and I've been lately very interested in this notion of global pedagogy, which is this very inclusive way of teaching, especially groups, but I've been implementing that style of teaching also to one-on-one students. So something that is very close to heart for me is to improvise and to create together and to kind of divide the ownership of the situation between the students and the teacher. And right now I'm working to develop all the time my group leading skills and teaching in various countries. Last year it was in the States, in the Finlandia Foundation FinFest, and as well as Brazil, and I got to go to Chile as well. So I'm trying to gather this kind of bank of getting more and more experiences in how to be a better pedagogue with groups. I'm really interested and really excited about Soiva Camp this year and excited to meet all of you. I'm going to give the ball to my wonderful colleague, Artur.
Hello, everybody. My name is Artur Uronen, and it is such a big honor to be here together with Kata. As she already mentioned, we had such a blast over at FinFest last year, and we are already so much looking forward to this summer's Soiva Fest. My name is Artur. I'm also a global music student. I'm currently finishing my bachelor's studies and entering the master's. I play pedal steel guitar, which is one of the classic American instruments, as well as working as a music producer. As a producer, currently outside of studies, I'm working on Asian pop music, mostly Chinese, Japanese, and South Korean markets, both as a songwriter and a producer, and that is something I'm currently focusing on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to you both. We are so privileged and fortunate to have two fantastic directors or instructors joining us. As you can hear, they're really perfect for this particular task. And I do want to mention before we go into the further presentation that this presentation is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube for later viewing. So our theme for this year's camp is Let's Create Music Together. So we're really focusing on creativity, play, collaboration, co-creation. We have a few bullet points of just what will be included and what we are excited about for Soiva 2024. So under the bullet of guidance and instruction, as mentioned, we have our two instructors, Kata and Artur, who will be leading guided group sessions, a few different sessions throughout the day for the full group. And the aim is really to celebrate every unique voice. Everybody that comes will be heard within this full group while we're co-creating and playing instruments and creating together. Every day is going to have a unique theme, such as listening to our surroundings or listening to one's own inner voice, or Finnish folklore and music, or environmental stewardship, just some examples of what might be included. And we'll be building on our skills throughout the week and culminate in a performance showcase at the Nordic Museum in Seattle. And this will be a final performance open to the public on the final day. And here's just a little clip of Kata leading a session in Natal, Brazil last year. Another important element of Soiva Music Camp 2024 is surrounding ourselves in the natural environment and having outdoor experiences. And this year's camp is going to be held at the Gwinwood Retreat Center in Lacey, Washington, which is on 29 acres, including forests and fields. There's an outdoor amphitheater, there's a lake, there's an outdoor labyrinth too. And so we'll really be able to tuck ourselves into nature and use nature as an inspiration. And I'll have Artur just talk a little bit about the importance of using nature and our natural surroundings in music creation.
Thanks, Maria. So over at Global Music Department, one of the big themes that we kind of work with throughout the years is related to one's environment as well as nature overall. Often we might be exploring questions like, where and when does music start and when does it end? Is nature full of music even without any of us playing? And these are the kinds of things that we often discuss, explore, and work with throughout different games and exercises that we have over at the department. We also use nature and our environment as a source of inspiration. So we might be looking at, for example, recording bits and pieces of, say, birds singing or the wind blowing throughout the forest, and use that either as an inspiration or a specific piece of material that we are working with throughout the use of loops or music production per se, or anything like that. And also we are constantly both discussing and like examining the questions of environment and our relation to it. How does our environment affect us and the choices that we make as musicians and music makers? And we often have people from all kinds of different places from all over the world. So one's environment might mean something completely different to another person. One might be feeling very much at home in the forest or one's home country, whereas somebody other has lived in a country that has experienced war, for example. So environment might not mean peace or safety for some of the students and people that attend our department. So those are the kinds of themes that we are exploring and discussing and using as a source of inspiration.
Thank you so much, Artur. That's really beautifully said. Another element of Soiva 24 is to break down into smaller groups and have small group sessions and even self-initiated projects that are largely led by the campers themselves, who have an active role in then creating and planning and initiating their own projects. And Kata, if you want to talk a little bit about the importance of kind of honing in and being a little bit more personal and individual in music creation.
Thanks, Maria. Yes, we will have large group sessions where we'll be all working together and building this community feel in the Soiva Music Camp. But in addition to that, we will be dividing the campers in smaller groups so that they can explore a specific musical task amongst themselves. It could be something from loop creation to rhythmic exploration, production tasks, creating lyrics together, arranging within a band setting, for instance. And all of this is to build the feeling of empowerment, of making your own choices within the group, and strengthening your interpersonal skills and bringing the ownership to making your decisions by yourself and with your group mates. And all of this will be done with the idea of taking into consideration and respecting the starting point of each student and also the interests of each student. And Maria was talking about this leading their own projects, which means that as we will be having some open mic sessions and campfire in this really beautiful natural setting that we were looking at just now, the students are encouraged to perform whenever they feel like doing that or bringing their own projects to life. Someone might already have a band, or someone might already have an artistic kind of endeavor going on, and this would be a perfect camp for someone like that to explore and develop those skill sets and kind of have a platform of making music with other people as well, finding people to make that with, and also to perform whatever you are making. So really bringing people together and building a community and teaching music by making music, even when the students teach each other to explore different ways of making music.
Thank you. Another element here that Soiva Music Camp will offer is the opportunity for individual growth and development. And of course, within this context of a music camp, there will be growth and development musically as they have a chance to create and perform, develop their skills, try new instruments, collaborate with one another and connect in this way. But inherently, overnight camps also offer this opportunity to live in community with peers, which can also offer development of other skills, such as being accountable for one's own actions and thinking for oneself, getting along with others, making friends and being accepted, accepting others, respecting others' rights, all of these things that come by us living within this camp setting. And within the Soiva Music Camp, the campers are also going to be able to explore their own voices and how they would like to be heard through their songs and the lyrics that they write. So really kind of taking this inner conversation that they might have with themselves and putting that then into music can be a very vulnerable and powerful way to then also experience being brave and expressing and sharing with others. So we're very excited about this element too. both creating, but then also performing, as Kata was mentioning, having this platform is very important. Personal identity, I'll hand it back over to Kata to talk a little bit about this element.
Thank you, Maria. In the global music department, we have a lot of people from different nationalities and very different socioeconomical national backgrounds as well. And me and Artur, we are Finnish by nationality, but even in this me being Finnish, my artistic identity is built on layers of different inspirations that I have in music, for instance, and music creation. And in my case, I'm really much drawn to Portuguese, West African, and Brazilian musical styles. And for Artur, it might be something different. Maybe I'll hand it over to you in a minute, just so you can tell for yourself. But even though I'm a non-native to these musical styles, I love to draw inspiration while respecting the culture that is behind there and while not being a part of that culture myself. So we are really interested in finding what is the identity behind each person that would like to take part in the Soiva music camp. And this can be something very private, and it can be something that that we will give you tools to initiate the process to kind of think for yourself, what are the things that inspire you? What are the things that build the layers of your identity? And what are the things that you would like to explore in your music? Because all of us have things that bring the different pieces to what we like musically or culturally, or what kind of food we like, and all kinds of things. All of these things build our identity. And in the musical world, sometimes we have to also be very mindful of what kind of musics we explore, and in what way, and do we give credit to the music that we are, for instance, singing or playing. And in this way, we have been thinking of having also maybe someone from the local Sami community, from indigenous communities, to come to the Soiva music camp on one of the evenings and presenting a little bit about their culture, just so we could get an idea of how they would, for instance, present of how they feel their identity is in consideration of their indigenous heritage, for instance. And just to learn a little bit from different viewpoints of looking at your identity and how to deal with the music and how to approach each type of musics that have very different backgrounds. Artur, would you like to add something here? I know you have a very different background than I do.
Thanks, Kata. I think you said it perfectly. I myself, just a little bit about my background. Before I started at Sibelius Academy, I used to spend lots of time over in the US, like the past 10 years before entering the studies. I was mostly residing and working in New York City as part of a local record label and their production team. And also, like, the kinds of questions that Kata raised had really been important pieces of my own background and career, and thus have like shaped and carved the path that I've been traveling throughout the years as a music maker. Over at the camp, we will be discussing and exploring the questions of what does it mean to be Finnish? What does it mean to be American? What does it mean to be Finnish American, or American Finnish, if you will? We'll be exploring influences that may have been taken from another culture and how it affects us. We'll be also talking about appreciation and appropriation, and what does that mean to us in today's world where everything is becoming more multicultural, and it feels like different cultures are kind of getting closer to each other. So those are the kinds of themes that we'll be using.
Thank you so much, both of you. Yeah, such an important conversation to have, and a wonderful opportunity to explore this conversation even further with the campers. I'll keep it with you, Artur, here, if you want to talk a little bit about collaboration within the context of Soiva Music Camp. And we talked a little bit about multiculturalism and many different voices coming together to work together. And so now, what does that collaboration maybe look like within this context of the camp?
Exactly. Both community and communication are such crucial parts of our lives, both in and out of music. We'll be learning how to discuss with one another. We'll be learning a lot about ourselves, how to A, find, B, validate, C, celebrate our own unique voices. Again, both in and out music. I feel like so many of the kinds of things that we're talking about and that we are going to be teaching over at the camp are universal. We're just using music as a tool to kind of deliver the wisdom that we can as teachers. And often community is the best kind of teacher. So much is always learned between classes when people are talking, playing, and spending time with one another. And if we can facilitate that in a way that makes it fruitful for everybody, I feel like we have accomplished as teachers. I feel like those are often the most important bits and pieces that people will remember years and years after. We'll be also teaching a lot about listening. We feel like everybody in the whole world are able to hear, but very few people actually know how to listen. And we are going to be exploring and teaching the difference between these two things and how to truly listen to one another as music makers, but also as people and human beings.
Thank you. And the final sort of theme, and this falls, of course, into the cultural identity, but specifically Finnishness as a discussion point within the Soiva Music Camp. And there will be opportunities to learn and develop Finnish language skills, some of the song lyrics or some of the themes of the day, even some of the conversations perhaps will include Finnish language for those who are interested in developing that aspect. And then we'll have some elements of Finnish folk music and traditions, also, other global folk music styles and traditions, but Finnish particularly. And then, as Artur was mentioning, what is Finnishness, kind of exploring that perspective as well. Does either of you have anything more you want to add about this Finnishness within the context of Soiva?
I think you really nailed it. Yeah.
Indeed.
Perfect. So this is sort of an exploration that we've just given about what to expect and explore within the Soiva Music Camp. And we'd welcome, of course, anybody's questions at the end. Before that, I do want to mention a couple of ways that Soiva 2024 is perhaps different from Soiva years in the past. As you can hear, we've kind of veered away from a traditional classical musical camp. We're not limited to chamber musicians, piano, violin, cello, etc. Although musicians and instrumentalists who have an instrument that they specialize in already are certainly welcome. And if their instrument is portable, they are welcome to bring that also for the process of music creation. But the study won't be necessarily on the technical mastery of the instrument itself, but it will be just exploring, as we've mentioned, these conversations and how we can use instruments and explore perhaps new instruments and using our own voice to create. We're also not auditioning. All are welcome regardless of skill or experience level. That said, it is helpful if there is some knowledge of music or rhythm or a felt sense of being able to receive and hold a rhythm. That said, a curious mind and a willingness to engage with this musical creation and creativity and these conversations is absolutely enough. Broad Soiva camp schedule for the week. Monday, July 15th would be the arrival day in Seattle. We are offering optional transportation from the airport to the retreat center. So if your child or the camper is arriving at the airport, we would then coordinate and make sure that they're able to travel to the retreat center, which is about 45 minutes to 1 hour away. It's down a little bit south of SeaTac, closer to Olympia, Washington. So we would arrive at the retreat center in time to settle down and register and have dinner together. Starting on Tuesday, we would have the daily instruction, activities, all meals and snacks would be provided for each day. And then on Sunday, July 21st, we would depart after breakfast, arrange bus transportation to the National Nordic Museum in Seattle, have lunch there, and then rehearse a little bit, warm up, and have a performance at 2 o'clock, which will be open to the public. And then at the end of the program, again, if there is need for bus transportation or some sort of transportation back to the airport, we could also discuss arranging that as well. And then just breaking down to a sample daily schedule. Each day, as we mentioned, would likely have a different theme for the day. We would wake up and have breakfast. Twice a day, we would have these large group activities where everybody gathers together for working together and collaborating. Also, twice a day would be opportunities for these smaller group sessions where we're working or honing in on a specific task within a small group. Plenty of time, hopefully, for also free time. There's swimming and canoeing. We have lifeguards that will be present on site every time we're going swimming. There's play fields for sports. We'll have art supplies for creating, not just musically, but also creating visual art if that's of interest, or any other sorts of creative exercises. 3 meals plus snacks, as we mentioned, are provided. And then each evening we would have a program of sorts. And Kata mentioned potentially having a special presentation from a local Sami or Native American Indigenous, somebody from a cultural organization who might be able to come in and give a presentation as an example. Also open mic nights or film presentations or talent shows. Ending usually the day with a campfire, another opportunity to be together and share and discuss and tell stories and have acoustic guitar sessions, all of these fun things that happen at a campfire, and then getting ready for bed and lights out. So this is a pretty good general idea of what daily life would be like at Soiva Music Camp. And then finally, we do want to offer the application details here, including the tuition, what the tuition would include, application deadline coming up here at the end of April. And then we have an email address here for questions. Yes, so we have a question here about the one-on-one class instruction that's mentioned. And so this is optional, but highly encouraged for each camper to take advantage of some one-on-one feedback session with either Kata or Artur or myself, or, you know, just depending on their interests. We each have a different sort of thing that we specialize in. And so, yeah, it could look like a private music class if they were interested in working on their instrument. It could be, you know, if they have a song that they've been working on that they just need some help with, or, you know, any of these themes that we've just discussed, if there is interest in having some personal guidance or feedback on a project. Kata or Artur, would you like to add on to what that might look like?
Yeah, I can go first. We cover a pretty wide range of topics as teachers and mentors, and we are able to touch on the various themes of music making, kind of talking about the same things but through different lenses, if you will. Somebody might bring a song, as Maria mentioned, and I might go through the songwriting process with the person, and Kata could talk more about the singing and voice part of things, and so on and so forth. My specialties include all studio work, meaning music production, recording, mixing, which in today's world are crucial parts of the whole music making process. And I might be talking about things such as beat making, using our phones, and so on and so forth. I can also teach guitar. I have been a private guitar teacher for more than 10 years, and bass and different kinds of string instruments.
Kata, would you like to add anything?
Sure. Like Artur said, and Maria, you also did, we have quite a wide range of things that we could offer for anyone that would like to take the 30-minute private lesson. That said, also, since we will be meeting you for most of the day or hanging out for the most of the day, and having also a lot of this possibility to connect also outside of the lessons, all of that time is time that we can discuss various projects, various approaches, all of that kind of thing. Of course, everybody wants to do other type of socializing as well than just talk about music, but we will be there all the time, so we will be basically available for these kind of conversations throughout the camp. Personally, I've been teaching vocal lessons from the rhythm music side of things for over a decade as well, and I also specialize in improvising and how to approach improvisation within the realm of music making, composing, and also in the more jazz type of setting. And I'm also planning to take my violin there, and I'm not a classical violinist, but my background is in there. So if there are some violinists that want to be a part of Soiva Music Camp, then we can definitely look into that instrument as well. We will be doing some percussive things there also. I plan to take some asalatos there, which are these small I believe West African instrument that is very portable. I will be going to Brazil just before this camp, so I will be bringing some more. It's a very funny kind of little instrument that you can do a lot of things with, and it looks very cool as well. Someone once told me that it's a perfect instrument for social media videos. So definitely we're gonna have those kind of sessions as well. So from songwriting, lyrics making, looking at interpretation of text, of lyric, looking at improvisation from various type of ways, looking at embodiment, how to find rhythmical feel in your body, all those kind of things. But if you have any questions, more specific questions of what you would be after with the private music lessons, then we are all ears.
Indeed. Thank you, Kata. And just to mention also that our local Finnish school, so Suomikoulu here in Seattle, has offered to lend us several 5-string kanteles as well. So that will be an other opportunity for some music making. And yeah, that's an important point that Kata made, that we will be present the full week, Kata and Artur and myself also, for any conversations that even want to occur outside of the group sessions. But yeah, these 30-minute sessions are really to hone in on something specific that the student might be interested in, as far as a musical project or some sort of development task, something that they're working on. If anything comes to mind, again, that email address is soiva@finlandiafoundation.org. And please feel free to pass along any questions or comments or concerns.
And Hanna, I will see if we can bring her. She's our the chair of the Soiva committee, and so I will bring her up as a panelist and maybe let her say a couple words from the Soiva committee standpoint before we close out here. So Hanna, I don't know what this is going to do. I'm going to promote you to panelist, and you should be asked to join us here sort of on the stage, as it were.
Hey, hi. On behalf of the Soiva committee and also on behalf of myself, I would just like to say a few words. I have met Maria, Artur, and Kata in person. Last Christmas, when I went to Finland, I just happened to look at the Musiikkitalo program and saw that there were several free concerts, but two of them we were very interested in. One was Kata's master concert, and the other one was Artur's bachelor's concert. And as we were jet lagged and they were late at night, it was a very easy decision to attend. And they were marvelous. There was just so much mix. The West African influence to Brazil, or everything came through. Artur's, we were handed earplugs when we walked in. We were definitely the oldest people there, but this is the camp for kids. So I didn't, and it was wonderful. I mean, we are from the rock and roll generation, so we certainly love the guitar music and so forth. Excellent artists as well as wonderful people. So I wish I had children that age. They would be traveling to Seattle this summer. And on the behalf of the committee, I think we have Betsy's going to say, I think something, or ask something too. But it has been a lot of fun planning. I wouldn't hesitate for a minute to send my kids there. And thank you all three, and of course Tommy, for doing this.
Thank you, Hanna. That's a great testimonial, everybody out there. Good endorsement of Kata and Artur and Maria. So thank you for that. And yes, you're right, Hanna. Betsy did ask a question here. If we could describe a bit about the Nordic Museum in Seattle and the opportunity it gives to campers to be part of an important Nordic spot. So maybe I'll send that one to you, Maria. That's actually a very good point. Thank you, Betsy.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to be able to have our final concert at the National Nordic Museum. And the Nordic Museum in Seattle has been around. Its roots, I believe, go back to 1980, or it's been around several decades, but recently moved into a brand new building in 2018, I believe. And it's a beautiful space in the Ballard neighborhood of Seattle. Hosts a tremendous amount of exhibits and artwork from all over the world as far as Nordic influenced art. And they have a really beautiful event space within the Nordic Museum that we will then be using for our final showcase. So it'll be a nice opportunity for friends and family and the general public to come perhaps view some of the Nordic Museum's exhibits beforehand, and then enjoy a lovely showcase of all of the things that we've worked on throughout the week.
Absolutely. It is an important Nordic institution nationally, of course, and it's well known in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. And it'll be great to have sort of a Finnish music influence with the global perspective, on display there. So I think that's really the part that, students will get to be a part of that. So. And it seems like we've come to the end of this. So I thank you all for your participation and for joining us from Helsinki and Seattle and everywhere else that people are from here in the audience, and wish you all a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everyone.